We're at TICE 2025. I'm at the Anderson Innovations booth. These guys do floor scrapers, and they actually just launched a new blade line. So I'm here with Quinn Anderson to talk about their new blade line, see what they have. And so why don't you tell me about it?
All right. Well, first off, Anderson Innovations, we're a family-owned business based out of Duluth, Minnesota. We design and manufacture all types of scraping equipment as well as blades. Here at TICE this year, we're introducing a brand new blade line. We've got a pretty expansive offering, and I'd like to walk you through that. To start with, here we have our premium blade line. All of these blades are made with the same heat treating process, which gives it much better edge holding and longer lasting blade life. It's going to stay sharper longer than a standard blade. We have two different thicknesses, 062 and 094, as well as three different styles of blades. A standard flat blade for all of your VCT and engineered hardwood type removal. We also have a standard self-scoring blade with sharpened wings for self-scoring the carpet. Pretty conventional design that people are familiar with other blades in the market. But we're really excited about a brand new blade offering we have here, which is our advanced self-scoring blade. You notice with this blade, the self-scoring wing has a notch in the bottom right where it self-scores the carpet. So this blade is going to be a much more efficient, longer lasting self-scoring blade.
How does that hook help? Like what does that do to make it last longer?
Right. So as the blade is put down on the floor, there's increased cutting surface area with that radius closest to where the carpet is bonded to the floor. So that's where it's most stable. You're going to be able to cut the carpet cleanly without it unraveling and creating yarn that gets tangled up in the caster and the rear wheels.
So instead of just wearing out the very first part that a normal self-scoring blade would do, now it can kind of ride up this hook and continue getting cut.
Right. You can really see the difference if you compare each of these blades side by side.
So normally like this is right where they wear out, and then they'll start tearing the material. So
right.
Okay, that makes sense.
And then also the wings are leaned forward, so as the blade is engaging with the floor, it actually helps push the material down into that notch.
Okay.
So just like we use a hook blade when we're scoring carpet, it works better, lasts longer by protecting that cutting edge. This works in a very similar fashion. Also on this blade, we notch out the rear of the blade, so that way we can install it in any size head without interfering with the wings, again, as you see with the
you could have a
standard.
12-inch jaw, and you could put a 6-inch blade in it if you
Exactly.
wanted to.
Yep. So it's just more effective on the job site. If you don't happen to have the right size blade holder for the machine and you got to put a 6-inch blade in, it's always going to fit.
Okay. You mentioned you have two sizes. Like, why would you use two different sizes? What would be the main use of the thinner versus the thicker?
So the first and primary reason is different weights of equipment. So the thicker blade, the 094 blade, is going to be used in any of our ride-on machines or comparable ride-on machines you might have out in the market. The 062 blade is typically reserved for walk-behind equipment, but it also works exceptionally well in our lighter ride-on machines like our ES1300 and our ES1000. A thinner blade, when you can use it, is actually easier to push through material, just because there's less blade that has to move material out of the way. So you're going to get lower amp draws, longer run times out of a battery machine, but it's pretty important that you run these on a lighter weight machine. If you put this in a 2,500 pound machine, you'll probably break the thinner blade. That's why we go to 094. So the different thicknesses mostly have to do with the weight of machines that you put them in. Another feature that all of our blades here in our premium blade line have is they're all coated. So we've got a special coating on the blade that keeps it without any rust. If you put it on the shelf in bulk, the blades aren't rusty and they're never going to be oily.
Is that just a regular paint? Is that more of a powder coat? What is that?
It's a much more durable coating. It is a powder coat. It actually helps keep the blade clean as you're using it in different types of materials, and especially keeps it from being free of rust without having to deal with oily blades.
Does that hold up relatively well to scraping, or is it pretty much immediately come off once you get into the material?
So what you'll notice is actually the paint builds up on the cutting edge, which reduces a little bit of the sharp edge, which is better for handling and packaging. As soon as you put it into the work, that leading edge is going to wear away, and you'll see that it'll wear some of the coating off the top. It's primarily there to keep the blade in good shape until it's ready to be used. So
awesome. What do we got
that's
next?
Our advanced line that we've got here. The next thing I'd like to show you.
Does anyone else make that advanced self-scoring blade? Like, or is that unique to you guys?
This is unique to us. So you can see here we've got it marked on the blade. This is a patent that we have on this style of blade with that hook in the front. So you're not going to find that blade anywhere else. That's only here with Anderson.
Okay.
All right.
Any
other questions?
Not on those.
Okay.
What do we got next here? Those are some pretty wild looking blades.
So this one is our Xtreme duty blade. You'll see the thickness on this is much greater than those other blades.
How thick is that?
It's 137 thousandths.
So what would that be, like a 10 gauge or?
Yeah, about like that. You can kind of get the idea here of comparing these two blades.
That's the 062.
Correct.
And this is 137.
Yeah, and this
or
is our Xtreme duty.
okay.
These blades are designed for two purposes. One, much heavier equipment. If you've got a machine that is in that 2,500 to 4,000 pound range, you need to put a heavier blade in the machine, otherwise you're going to wear it out, possibly break it. As well as this material is completely different. We've got an abrasion resistant, impact resistant steel. This is a blade designed to do those really nasty jobs where you've got maybe bolts that are left in the floor after remodel, hardened concrete nails, those types of things. This blade, you might ding the edge, but you'll never break it. You're not going to snap this blade off. A blade that breaks is garbage. The one that gets a nick or just a damaged edge, you can still use it. We just don't want a blade that fractures. So the Xtreme Duty line is designed to be that blade. You cannot break it. We've got it in a few different sizes here. This is a 3x12. We also have the 3x8. And then we do offer it as well in a 9-inch blade with notches that'll work on like a blue line scraper or a Novatech style.
If I have, if somebody has a blade style or an attachment style that needs special features or hooks or whatnot, like that one has notches, can you do that? Is that something you offer, or is it
We're always willing to talk to people. If you've got some type of a special application, we're happy to have the conversation. And if we can't make it for you, we can definitely steer you in the right direction, but we're pretty good at making custom blades.
Okay,
so absolutely,
that's an option then?
For sure.
Okay.
In the same material line, we have our Delta blades. So these are made out of that same extra heavy duty material, our Xtreme duty material. These blades are unique in their shape. You can see that's really apparent. They're wide in the back, so you can clamp them in a walk-behind machine, but then we have a really narrow cutting edge. So until now, there hasn't been an option to be able to put a 2-inch blade inside of a walk-behind machine on account of you can't clamp just into 2 inches and have the blade stable. So we have this kind of diamond shape. So on the back of the blade at 6 inches, you clamp that into your machine, and then you have an extremely aggressive cutting edge. So if you're doing a lot of engineered hardwood stuff that's glued down, if you have materials that has nails in it, you have to use a blade that it can withstand that kind of abuse. That is the best use of these blades. We do offer them in a 2-inch as well as in a 3-inch and a 4-inch width.
You mentioned this is walk behinds. Is this a rider blade too? Is it can you use it with that?
We really designed it to be used in a walk behind, but in our initial testing, we had it in ride-on machines up to 3,000 pounds. And what you might find is you'll get some bending where it's really narrow here in the front, but it's a very aggressive blade in the front of the rider. So extremely difficult glued down hardwood, things like that. These blades actually work really well. If you do get a little bit of deflection in the front, that's to be expected if you're running a heavy machine, 2,500 pounds or higher. In that case, you might be better suited sticking with either the
so you go with the wider ones, you have a little bit more strength behind it, won't bend.
Another thing that's notable is the length of this blade. So we have 6 inches from the back of the blade to the cutting edge. So in walk-behind equipment as well as in riders, that extra length in the blade allows the blade to be down more parallel to the floor, which gives it a lot better time getting underneath difficult to remove materials, even ceramic tile or, like I said, glued down hardwood.
So you think you could actually use these in place of a carbide in certain circumstances to get underneath the tile and basically take out the thin set instead of hitting the tile itself?
It definitely is an alternative. This blade sells for about $35. Carbides are a lot more material, a lot more complicated. They have a place, and we'll talk about that. But this blade particularly, it could be used in place of a carbide on easier jobs. What you'll find is this might be able to demo tile, but it's not going to rescrape thin set or especially thin coatings in the way that a carbide does.
And you can resharpen these, right? And that's not a problem.
Yeah, they're not actually super hard. So you'll find that they sharpen quickly, but they hold their edge well, and they're also extremely durable. That's the real key to this, is a really durable blade for aggressive removal of difficult materials.
So that blade, like the 3 Delta blades and these other 3 here, those are all part of the Xtreme series, the Xtreme Duty?
Yeah, okay. That's all the Xtreme Duty blade, which is that 137 thousandths extra thick material.
All right.
So next to that, we have our carbide line.
Yep.
Here I have 2 of our straight shank carbides.
Okay.
This one's 4-inch and this one's 6-inch. We also make a 2-inch carbide. You notice that?
Is that like the 2-inch here?
Yeah. So this would be the same for a rider in terms of width and dimension, but this one's actually built for our walk-behind machine, the ES400S.
Oh, okay. So that's why it's got the different shafts. So
correct.
Basically, to be this blade with this shank on it would be the rider version.
Yep, absolutely. So we have different blades that are installed in machines right now as we're at the trade show, and what's on display here on the table is just the 4 and the 6. We have a carbide insert that's soldered into the front of the solder. Carbide is a lot harder than even high carbon steel when it's heat treated. So what you get with a carbide blade is extremely long edge holding. This is what most people would use for difficult ceramic removal, especially thin set rescrape, epoxy coatings and other difficult coatings. You're going to use a carbide scraper like this one. The carbide is critical. It has to be the right kind of chemistry in order to work well in the front of these machines, because with hardness, usually you get a brittleness. And we want to have the right combination. So we spent a lot of time working with a carbide company to come up with the best chemistry for a scraping machine that is the right combination of durability, but also edge holding. Another key factor with us is our base metal that holds the carbide. So you'll see here we've got a really shallow taper, so this helps get the carbide underneath ceramic tile and difficult things that are really hard. Instead of just stopping the machine with a steeper angle, which you'll see in some out there, this one has a lot shallower angle, so it's easier to get underneath ceramic tile and stone. And then also our base material is a high carbon that's much more abrasion resistant than a mild steel. So a lot of manufacturers will just use a cold roll mild steel for their base metal. We don't do that.
So what is the benefit of using the higher carbon steel for the base metal?
Yeah. So the carbide itself, it actually will wear a lot longer than the base metal. So if you use a softer plate like this one, the carbide will be in good shape if you're taking care of the blade, avoiding expansion joints and bolts to the best of your ability, but the metal will wear away to the point where the carbide falls out. So using a much more durable base metal like this, you're going to get more life out of your carbide. And these are pretty expensive, I mean, compared to a blade. What they can do is absolutely worth the money, but you want it to last as long as possible. And that's why we're using much more durable material in this base metal rather than just a mild steel.
Now these have straight shanks on them. Can you do an angle shank?
Yeah, typically we're going to set you up to be able to do angle shanks if that's something that you're interested in. Right now we're only offering a straight shank carbide, as that's how both our ES2000 and our 1300 are designed. They work actually the best with a straight shank carbide.
Okay.
But not everybody has our equipment yet, but we want to make blades that anybody can use.
But yeah, so you have the ability to make an angle shank if someone needs one, even if it's not in the line.
Something to just talk to us about.
Okay.
And our shank material is all 1/7/16, so this is a standard size in the industry. If you check the front of your machine, you want to know, will this fit in my machine? All of our shank material is 1/7/16, so you'll be able to get that installed in your machine. You can check. Right.
So what's that guy there?
All right, this is a carbide this is a carbide blade to go in the front of our fixed head ES400.
Okay.
So it's got kind of a crazy pitchfork looking back end. That's actually so it can fit into the debris deflector. And then we use the same 3 bolts that hold our debris deflector to hold it on the machine. So you can get a carbide in the front of your walk-behind machine. This is especially useful, again, for ceramic tile and for thin set rescrape. We can actually show you how it looks on the front of our machine. So the debris deflector here, typically we'd loosen these bolts and install a blade underneath this clamp. So this carbide, because it's a lot thicker material, it doesn't fit inside of the clamp. So instead, we'll just remove these 3 bolts and then reinstall them through this plate. And that would bolt it right into this position.
You can use the same bolts, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Use the same bolts.
So you don't have to have an extra set of bolts that are longer. Cool.
Yep, and then, I mean, the blade is the heart of the machine. Every job has its challenges. There's a lot of differences, even from the same type of job from one location to another. Having a lot of variability in what blades you can put in your machine can make the difference between being successful on the job or just fighting it. So, we don't want to offer just one size or maybe just small, medium, large for blades. We're going to have different chemistries of material. We're going to have different sizes of blades, flat and self-scoring, extra heavy-duty materials, and even carbides like this. And that makes the difference for being successful on all the different jobs that are out there.
Okay. Awesome. So is this is all pretty much a new line for you guys, or is it just, some of it that's new and some of it you've been building for a while?
Well, we're really introducing it here at the TICE show for this year, 2025. We've been producing carbides for a few years now. Just something that we've sold through distribution and to other customers that we've been working with, but we hadn't really made it.
So there's a lot of use on those carbides already, so it's not like it's a new thing that's under testing at the moment.
Absolutely. Our blades here we've been developing over the last 3 years, just perfecting all of the heat treat properties, the coatings, the design on our self-scoring wing, and then the XD line here really is brand new. But we've done some really aggressive testing, and we're finding out that it's fantastic blade design, something that we're excited to be able to offer.
All right. Well, how do I find you guys for the viewers here?
Best place is on our website. That's andinllc.com. We're easy to find online. We've got our entire blade line available through our website, as well as information about all the equipment.
Are the XD blades, are those on the website yet?
Not yet, just because they are so new. So if this is something that you're interested in, you can reach out to us through any of our social media sites, as well as through the info option if you want to send us a message through our website.
So those still got to get added on yet?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Awesome.
One thing at a time. We got a lot of new stuff here at the show, and we're excited about it. And we'll definitely be getting those up on our website soon.
Cool. Well, thank you.
All right. Appreciate it.